With us today, we have agency representatives from Cal EPA, Deputy Secretary Vita Becker, Colorado River Basin Regional Water Control Board Chair, Jane Powell, and Executive Officer Paula Rasmussen, who are joining us today and will be available for any potential technical questions. We're also grateful to have the mayor of the city of Calexico, Javier Moreno, and its city manager, Miguel Figueroa. They will be presenting this evening on a couple of the advancements that have taken place. We have supervisor and chair of the County Imperial Office, that is Jesus Escobar. He's the current chair, as I mentioned, for the County of Imperial. And we also have Luis Olmedo, the executive director from Comité Cívico del Valle, that has been involved with the community and spearheading many of the efforts on the ground for over a decade. I'm also excited to be able to introduce Vivian Maizunov, who is with the California Department of Water Resources, who will present some more technical aspects of the project that's taking place. We also want to make sure that we acknowledge the invitation that was made to our friends, our neighbors, both dignitaries, elected officials from Baja California, and some of their agency and secretarial agency representation. With us is Gustavo de la Fuente. We have Arturo Bernal Rodriguez, who are representing the government of Baja California, who have also been extremely engaged in these conversations. And I can assure you that those conversations continue to take place to ensure that we have both collaboration and cooperation on making these important improvements move forward. We'll be recording this Zoom meeting, and so that it will be available for those who weren't able to meet with us today. We also have individuals in specific places of Imperial County, Brawley, El Centro, and Calexico, making these facilities available for purposes of having greater participation and engagement, and of course, to be able to hear firsthand what's going on. As you all know, the New River has been a top priority for us and our team in Sacramento. And we've made some really good progress when it comes to state intervention and making a commitment to improving the circumstances for the people of Calexico and those who are affected by the New River in Imperial County. I'd like to just review that over the last few years, this collective effort has been able to secure for this particular project $28 million, and in last year's budget, an additional $20 million that could be used on border river water quality projects, both at the New River and also Tijuana River on the San Diego side. And we're not stopping there. This year we're building upon the effort, that momentum, and we've introduced legislation, and we've also aligned it with a $100 million request to continue making improvements to the New River and the Tijuana River. But our focus today is the New River, and that's the update that you will hear about today. We're happy to elaborate on our efforts with Assembly Bill 2248 and our $100 million request this year in the budget as the program gets into the question and answers. I look forward to continuing our work to keep this on track and make sure that this project is working in the best interest for all the people who have been affected by it for decades. We also hope that what we do today is a motivating factor for our friends at the federal government level. We need their help, and there's no reason why we couldn't get our federal partners to double down on the efforts that the state of California has committed to move forward. Before we recognize our next speakers, please feel free to submit any questions into the Q&A chat box or the Zoom. And if you're attending in person, please fill out and return your question cards to the site coordinator. We will try to answer all the questions. And if we don't have the answers, we certainly will get back to you. Hola, creo que tenemos un sistema de traducción para las personas que gustan escuchar las presentaciones en español, y le damos gracias a la agencia de la EPA del Estado de California, quien está proveyendo este servicio esta noche. Vamos a empezar con la presentación. Let's get started with the presentations. and I'll kick it back to Mr. Figueroa to move forward with the next part of the agenda. Good to see you, everyone.
Thank you, Assemblyman Garcia. As you rightfully mentioned, we have a lot of stakeholders joining us today, not only at the site locations where we are transmitting this virtual meeting, but we also have a lot of experience and knowledge in the speakers that we have here today. So with that said, I want to move forward with our agenda, and please have Deputy Secretary Bitka Becker from Cali, PA, discuss the state's involvement and support for the New River.
Thank you so much for having me here today. As Assemblymember Garcia said, my name is Bitka Becker, and I'm the Deputy Secretary at Cali, PA for Environmental Justice, Tribal Affairs, and Border Relations. And I want to emphasize what Assemblymember already said, which is Secretary Blumenfeld supports the New River tremendously and has made that clear to me when I began my role back in January of this year. He sends his best and is looking forward to coming down for the groundbreaking this summer. So as the Assembly member said, my role is to discuss some of the state's role in this, in the New River. So let me take you back to 2009 with Assembly Bill 1079 that was signed into law. When that was signed into law, a technical advisory committee was created, and they established what is called the New River Strategic Plan in 2011. Importantly, as Assembly member has suggested, the committee is made up of local, community, state, federal, and binational partners. And it's so great to see many of the original committee members here today, including Jose Angel and Miguel Figueroa. It shows the type of dedication necessary and the long-term dedication necessary to make important projects like the New River happen. That plan was then reviewed and approved by the California-Mexico Border Relations Council, which is chaired by Secretary Blumenfeld. So that plan does three things. It identifies priority improvement projects within 5 New River reaches. It quantifies water quality impairments and their threat to public health, and it identifies public agency roles and responsibilities. Cali, PA, and the state then put money forward for the design of the project in 2016. Remember, we started in 2009. The state then awarded $10 million to the project in 2018. And that's important to note because in 2018, in addition to that, the governor appropriated an additional $18 million. This is what Assemblymember was talking about. And it's important to note that because there were huge budget challenges that the state was facing due to COVID-19 at the time. Cali, PA worked actively with our project partners to help draft a memorandum of understanding signed by the city of Calexico, Imperial Irrigation District, and Imperial County to fund operations and maintenance. Calexico became the project lead in 2020, and we are so excited to see the permits moving forward and that we will be breaking ground this summer. In addition to thanking Assemblymember for his tremendous leadership, I want to thank Ms. for organizing today's important meeting. And I would really like to thank the Border Relations team at Cali, PA. Without them, this project could not have moved forward. Elizabeth King has been carrying the water on this project for 5 years. She's the wonderful type of public servant that we wish and hope all of our public servants would be like. I'd also like to thank our project partners, including the city of Calexico, Jose Angel, Miguel Figueroa, our partners at the Regional Water Board, including Jane and Paula, our colleagues at the Department of Water Resources, including Vivian Maisonneuve and Vic Nguyen. Finally, importantly, I just want to thank the community for being here. I come from a community like yours. When I first came on, I was told that this community is tired of reports. They want to see action. Well, we'll start seeing some serious action this summer. I'm now pleased to pass the microphone over to Jane Powell, Chair of the Colorado River Regional Water Quality Control Board.
Thank you. I'm going to hand it off real quick to Paula, and then she's going to hand it back to me.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening. I'm Paula Rasmussen. I'm the Executive Officer of the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and I really appreciate you including us in this forum today. Historically, the Regional Water Board has been extensively involved with the New River Improvement Project. We participated in the technical committee that drafted the New River Improvement Project strategic plan that was recently mentioned. And in addition to interacting with the other agencies at the policy meetings, the Regional Water Board itself developed resolutions regarding the New River and also worked with the State Water Board to provide the initial $1.4 million in funding for the New River Improvement Project design. Regional Water Board staff managed the contract with the contractor, Michael Baker International, while they designed the plans and specifications for the New River Improvement Project. And with that, I will turn it back over to Jane, and she will provide an update on status of Regional Water Board activities that are ongoing right now.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you to everyone who's participating, who's listening, and to all those that are helping to move this project forward. The Water Board, the Regional Board, and everyone is excited that this is moving forward. And the New River Improvement Project actually implements the first phase of the New River Improvement Strategic Plan that you heard about previously. And this plan is supported and developed by the California-Mexico Border Relations Council. The Regional Board, as Paula mentioned, oversaw the design contract for phase 1, which includes a trash screen, a bypass encasement for the flows of the New River, and a pump back system. This project will divert the New River water flows underground to bypass the city of Calexico and return the secondary treated wastewater into the riverbed to replenish the flow and to create wetlands. So the trash screen, the purpose of it is to obviously catch and remove the trash at the beginning of the underground encasement. As you know, trash carries pathogens and other compounds that pose health risks. So it's important to take that out of the New River water flow. The New River water flows then will be diverted underground via the bypass encasement, bypassing the city of Calexico and minimizing any human contact with the polluted river water. Then the pump back system will pump back secondary treated wastewater into the existing riverbed and replenish the flow. And that then will help to create the wetlands in the community. The design and engineering plans were completed in 2018, and the city of Calexico, as the lead agency, completed the CEQA process in 2020. The city of Calexico is working with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Division of Water Rights, and this Regional Water Board to move the New River project forward. So in terms of our permitting efforts, the Regional Water Board has responsibility for the 401 water quality certification, the construction dewatering waste discharge requirements, implementation of the construction general stormwater permit, and modification to the MPDS permit for the city of Calexico's wastewater treatment plant to change the location of the current discharge to allow it to go back into the riverbed of the New River and to create those wetlands that we were speaking of. In terms of our progress update on moving this forward and getting these permits issued, the 401 water quality certification was issued by our board on January the 5th, 2022. The construction dewatering waste discharge requirements and the general stormwater construction requirements are being deferred to the contractor, who will follow up on those permits once they become necessary. And finally, the report of waste discharge has been received from the city of Calexico to modify their wastewater treatment plant NPDES permit. Our staff is reviewing this, and they've asked for some additional information regarding the anti-degradation analysis. We expect that revisions of the NPDES permit will be finalized in the fiscal year 2022-2023, which starts July of this year. Thank you, and I will turn the presentation back over.
Thank you very much, Chair Powell and Executive Officer Rasmussen. The work and leadership of Region 7 has been vital to the progress of this project. With that said, moving forward with our agenda, we have before us City of Calexico Mayor Javier Moreno, who will be sharing a little more on the background and public health issues that arise from the New River. Mayor Moreno has prepared a presentation for us today. Mayor Moreno, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. Good evening, everybody. Buenas noches a todos. Gracias por atender a este forum comunitario. Thank you for showing up to this community forum. Looking forward to this. It's a long-awaited dream for us in Calexico. I'd like to thank the panelists for bringing their expertise and experience tonight in such a constructive discussion. A special thanks to Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, 56th District, who's been on this fight with us along the way since day one. I'd like to thank the Deputy Secretary Becker for being here, as well as Executive Officer for Jane Powell. So moving forward, I'd like to say that in 1940, the New River was widely recognized for its significant water pollution problems, primarily because of the odor of raw sewage. The river is one of North America's most polluted waterways, causing environmental and health problems. Pollution sources have included untreated municipal sewage, primarily from Mexicali, trash, treated, untreated industrial discharges, treated effluent from municipal wastewater treatment plants, urban storm drainage, and a variety of agricultural irrigation runoff on both sides of the border. The river contains over 100 contaminants, such as heavy metals, such as arsenic, selenium, mercury, and uranium, including pesticides, PCBs known as industrial productive chemicals. And as you know, the river is a breeding ground for several pathogens responsible for disease like cholera and typhoid and so on. By the 1970s and 1980s, the New River had already acquired the dubious reputation of being one of the most polluted in the US, with many of the pollutants posing serious human health hazards to local populations, particularly those in Calexico and Mexicali. The New River is severely polluted by discharges of waste from domestic agricultural and industrial sources of Mexico and Imperial Valley. Our main concern and primary objective is the public health threat the river poses to anyone, especially Calexico and Mexicali residents. The river and being exposed to contaminants from the river via airborne dust, suspicious serious health hazards include allergies, asthma, and any concern about exposure to dust pollution from the river. Those are the main concerns that we have people here in Calexico complaining about. Also, the Mexico standards for the New River water quality are considerably less stringent than a US standard because Mexico classifies the New River as a drain and not a river. So what is our public health concern here? The pollution levels in the New River at the international boundary will continue to exceed US standards, and beneficial uses will not be protected in spite of existing and planned improvements in Mexico. Among others, the following water quality problems are evident in the New River on the US side of the US-Mexico international border. This includes, like I said earlier, pathogens, low dissolved oxygen, toxicity, trash, nutrients and mercury, and so forth. Having said that, thank you for showing up, Mr. Figueroa. I'll leave it up to you now for the next panels.
Thank you very much, Mayor Moreno, for your message to the forum attendees today. Moving forward, next we have Imperial County Board of Supervisor Chair Jesus Escobar, representing Division 1, which covers Calexico. He will be sharing with us the county's point of view and a little more detail as to what Deputy Secretary Becker shared, which pertains to the Memorandum of Understanding that we have here at the local level.
Thank you, Miguel. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. Before we start off on the MOU and a couple other details, credit where credit is due. This could not have been achieved at the local level without the support of the state of California, our representative Eduardo Garcia, all the staff in the department head staff and everybody that really supported this effort at the state level. My hats off to you. As a few of you already mentioned, this is a international, national issue. And Eduardo Garcia is our assembly member for a reason. He very eloquently said and stated that we need to get the feds involved. We need for them to step up to the plate as well, because this is a federal international problem. So again, credit where credit's due. I, as a representative of my city, Calexico, am extremely proud of what the state has done for us. So again, credit where credit is due. Specifically on the MOU, again, that also gives me a lot of pride of ownership, let's say, in the fact that I'm from Calexico and that the three largest agencies that are working together, which is the city of Calexico, the county of Imperial, and the Imperial Irrigation District, are working collectively as a team on an MOU that will basically work together to make sure the efficiencies of this project comes to fruition on a year in, year out basis when it comes to its maintenance. The fact that we could all come together and really focus on this MOU and work as a team is huge. Again, working as a team with our state officials, working as a team at the local level, that's a way to make things happen. So again, I'm very, very thankful for that. Finally, I think it's important that we focus on what this will do for Calexico. The New River has been something that has been an eyesore, a dilapidated area, an area of economic concern that will soon be a avenue for economic development, a jewel for Imperial County and the city of Calexico. Again, I'm extremely proud to be a part of this project. I think it's something that's going to game change the city of Calexico. It's going to make it a area that was dilapidated beyond belief into something that will be the cornerstone for years and decades to come for the city of Calexico. And again, thank you so much to our state officials. And I'm really proud and honored to be with you and share this information.
Thank you very much, Chair Escobar, for your remarks. Moving on with our agenda, I would now pass on the opportunity to Senior Program Manager Vivian Maisonneuve from the California Department of Water Resource. The Department of Water Resource is a key entity that has been the agency with which the city of Calexico has been working with through a funding agreement to implement the specific projects that have been identified tonight. So with that said, Vivian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Very honored to be here. First, I'd like to say that it's, of course, our pleasure to be part, of course, of this project. We believe in it since day one, and we were very happy to bring this support to make it happen. I'm the program manager at the Department of Water Resources for the Salt and Sea Management Program, so in charge of implementing projects. From that point of view, we were very impressed by how organized the city of Calexico was, but also how all the stakeholders were engaged at moving this project forward. So it was very easy for us to basically bring a hand to this project and make sure that it moves forward. Our role is to make payments to the city as this project moves forward. And right now we're on schedule. We've also provided some technical help on the permitting aspect of this project. And we, of course, like any project, we had hurdles. Like I say, it's like if there are no problems, then we would not be doing this job. It would be just computers doing everything. But overcome because we were prepared. The city was really well prepared. We are not seeing any or seeking any changes in the agreement with the city of Calexico, as this project is on time and is going to be implemented or start to be implemented in this summer. So again, very happy to be part of this and provide full support and for the completion of this project. Thank you again, Miguel.
Thank you very much, Vivian. I will now pass on the microphone to the Executive Director of Comité Cívico del Valle, Mr. Luis Olmedo, whom I've had the pleasure to work with since 2006 on this project. And in addition to that, Mr. Olmedo's agency has been a key contributor on the grassroots effort that have taken place from an environmental justice standpoint with the communities not only of Imperial County, but the region, to make sure that our voice is heard in Sacramento. That is how we ended up with an assembly bill that allowed us to be here today, that has been coupled by other state bills, both from the Assembly and the Senate, like Assemblymember Garcia mentioned in his introduction. With that said, Luis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Miguel. I know we go a long way back working on this new river, and certainly your contributions from the moment you arrived at the New River, the Calexico New River Committee, and you know, your persistence on making sure that the administrative side kept getting done throughout even today. So there's a long history of the New River, and I want to start by the first time I got introduced to the New River. Mind you, lived here most of my life, you know, so actually the New River is located in multiple parks where disadvantaged low-income communities, which is basically this whole entire Imperial County, you know, go to parks right by the river. They seem like the most beautiful and strategic places to put parks. And one of the memories that I have is all that foam that looked like detergent flying in the air and kids, you know, pawing it. Who knew at that time that that river was toxic? You know, there's a lot that we have learned over the years and helped us understand, you know, thanks to the water board, thanks to the scientists, the researchers that have brought us a lot of information that said, hey, wait a minute, this river isn't a river that you're just going to dive in and jump and swim on it. This thing has an enormous amount of toxicity, viruses, things that are brewing there that are not recommended to be in contact with, but yet there were low-income houses built, you know, in the Calexico area, and parks built there. You know, these at the time, the free trade agreement, right, that pushed a lot of industry across the border, and the fact that the entire water drainage system was not designed to deal with these contaminants with the type of responsible environmental protection that should have been there, that is afforded and should be available to everyone, regardless of income, of color, of race, of anything. We should have a system that works efficiently and that protects our community. That wasn't given to this border community. And in formerly serving on the Good Neighbor Environmental Board as part of the US EPA, I got to see these types of scenarios from San Diego all across the entire international US-Mexico border. It is underfunded, underrepresented. I was in San Diego and someone let me know, hey, you're from Imperial. Hey, I know about the river. We actually had a film made. And just recently I found out that it was a good friend who's been in the environmental justice movement, Jose Bravo, that, you know, through his efforts, they funded the filming of a video where we actually have the tribes blessing the river back in the 90s. They were blessing the river. I didn't come into the role of Comité Cívico del Valle until 2000. And at that time, I met Ernestina Calderon, I met Emma Rosa Silva, and many other leaders in the comunidad right there that were already sounding the alarm. And Ernestina Calderon said, I went to DC, you know, I got a ticket out there, and I met with all these politicians for the last 20 years, and they shook my hand and they promised me, and they said they'd do it. You know, in order to understand that response, it's important to know that our communities, the culture, the trust that is there is at one point in time was valuable and was worth a handshake, and said, I trust you. Why? Because that's all I have. I don't have attorneys. I don't have scientists. I don't have hydrologists. I don't have laboratories. I'm going to have to trust you that you're going to keep me safe. Why? Because there's all these laws on the books that promise me, right, that as an American, whether I'm a resident, whether I'm documented, it doesn't matter, that I have all these protections in this United States of America or California, one of the most progressive, I would say, in terms of environmental protections in the United States. But that's not the case. That is the downside of this trajectory and why it's taking this long. On the upside is, I should say another thing, it was so important to have that New River strategic plan because it brought numerous stakeholders, and Jose Angel, and I had an opportunity actually through the good, we had an opportunity to travel to DC, and I think it was Tocayo here, the office of Senator Feinstein, and I wasn't there at the time when this promise was made. It says, bring all stakeholders together, and when you do that, I'll be able to respond to the community. You guys have to organize and identify what everybody's priorities are, right? Whether it's local cities, whether it's county, whether it's the industry, all stakeholders, environmental justice. Well, we did that, right? That was the whole role of the New River Strategic Plan. Well, we went to the federal government. We went to Senator Feinstein's office, and we didn't get the result that we thought that we were going to get. But I want to thank Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, because when he stepped in, he kept up the fight. He's never been apologetic about uplifting the disadvantaged environmental justice communities. And that's one of the reasons why today we are able to be having such a positive news about being able to move at record speed, given the most recent activity and efforts from the state of California, from Assemblymember Garcia, and everybody involved, Miguel, to make sure that the ground is broken, right? That in a positive way, that machines are moving. Because I remember Emma Rosa Silva and a lot of the community residents from Los Vecinos de la Comunidad, right? It started with Las Madres del Rio Nuevo. But then men started joining, community leaders and others in the comunidad. So it went from the Madres del Rio Nuevo to los Vecinos del Rio Nuevo. They're the leaders that were there. We joined their effort. We helped support their effort into what Miguel has mentioned, going to Sacramento. And thanks to the leadership of legislators like Assemblymember Garcia, we had, a friendly face, a welcoming face, to say, yes, come on in. We're gonna welcome you into this space, and we're gonna go talk to others and let them know how important the New River is, and it must be, and it should be. It is a sad situation that the can got kicked down the road, but the can hit the end of the road, and that's right now. Right now is when we need to fix this river. Right now it's when it's getting fixed, but it should have been done a long time ago. And the same goes with the Salton Sea, because the New River obviously ends up in the Salton Sea. So again, it would have, I don't know how many of those residentes who championed a lot of this before I got here, because there was a lot of warriors out there, including the tribes that were out there trying to sound the alarm on the New River. We, in the Imperial Valley, just to give you a little background, we still face the highest percentages of asthma, 3 times higher than the state and national averages. Very sad situation. Just recently, a young woman, elementary school aged child, just or middle school, just passed away because of an asthma attack. But with COVID, not the pandemic certainly had an impact around the world. The Imperial Valley has been facing many endemics, whether it's water quality, whether it's failing to meet federal standards for water quality, failing to have protections on our rivers, on our Salton Sea, failing to have protections on the air quality. We continually fail the federal standards of air quality. And you know, this is just a project that is long overdue, and we're happy to see the, you know, coming along this far and breaking ground. So, you know, with that said, I want to thank everyone involved. I want to thank, you know, I know the community in Emma Rosa Silva. I always remember her words. You know, it's enough with words, enough with promises, right? And I tell them, it's because, you know what? I mean, the reality is we live in a country that you need to have a signature and you need to have a promise, and it needs to be enforceable. And our communities is getting, it doesn't have to be that way, but it's gotten there. And those promises are now being delivered because the state stepped up and the state invested money, because, you know, our community stepped up, and our cities and our counties stepped up, and the community stepped up, right? And again, this is the best case scenario, you know, and into, you know, Emma Rosa Silva, and to the many leaders that are gone, and those who are still there and remain there. I'm so happy that this will finally see a groundbreaking, because they deserve it. The community deserves it. And I remember, I can't wait to the day they see tractors moving. You know, I hope they're clean tractors. I hope it's, you know, to the extent possible, you know, zero emissions trucks, right? But it is a moment to celebrate and to thank everybody involved. And I'm sure I'm leaving many people that we need to recognize, but on, you know, to the extent that I'm allowed to, on behalf of the community, I want to thank everybody who's been involved to getting this project this far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. Thank you for Comité Cívico del Valle, yourself and your team being the voice for the community for all these years. Moving forward, I will be providing a brief presentation on timeline and next steps for the project. That said, I will be sharing a brief presentation with you. Here we go. Okay. We will get going here. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. What you have before you here are the elements that have been talked about throughout the presentation of our forum today. This is a map that depicts the areas that we're going to be focusing on as it pertains to the infrastructure improvements here in Calexico. We have the trash screen diversion structure, we have the bypass encasement, and we have the pump station. Those are the three projects that are going to be part of the construction phase for the Calexico Reach. As you can see, this area depicted starts from the international boundary all the way to the All-American Canal siphon that crosses over the New River here in Calexico. As Luis mentioned, there are 400 homes in the west side of Calexico that literally have the New River in their backyards. They are the ones that will also be benefiting, not only in Calexico, but as the river moves north into Imperial County from the efforts of the New River Improvement Strategic Plan. The project funding, as it's been shared, it's come from different sources that have provided technical support, like the Colorado Regional Water Quality Control Board, Region 7, which is right now spearheaded by Chair Powell and Executive Officer Rasmussen, who in the past was also led from an administrative standpoint by Jose Angel, who I'm very happy to share is part of my team here at the City of Calexico and serves as the project manager here for the Calexico Reach improvements. We were able to secure $10 million through Prop 68 in 2018. Thankfully, we had two agencies that I want to highlight and thank them publicly, which is the Salton Sea Authority, along with the Department of Water Resource, that were key and instrumental in making this happen, in addition to the California Natural Resources Agency, Cali PA, and obviously our elected officials. In this case, led by our Assembly Representative, Eduardo Garcia, and our State Senator, Ben Hueso. In 2020, right before the emergency declaration was made on the pandemic, in March of 2020, the state legislature approved $18 million in general fund to complement the $10 million that had been secured to Prop 68 to bring our total to that $28 million figure that's going to pay for the 3 construction projects. It's also very important to say that the agency that the city of Calexico is working with in administrating the project funding is the Department of Water Resource, which today was represented by Vivian Masinov, the senior project manager. With that said, I'm very happy to say that the pre-construction phase is completed. It's done with. Executive Officer Rasmussen did a very good job in sharing the good news to what Region 7 has approved as it pertains to the permits. The permits needed, as you can see from this slide, is the 401 permit, the 404 permit that come in a very important phase as it pertains to the role that our wastewater treatment plant will have in making sure that we have this pump back system that will actually bring the elements of the project to fruition. The city of Calexico has provided also the work pertaining to the encroachment and grading permits. There is also extensive work that we've done with the U.S. General Services Administration to make sure that we work hand in hand on a lot of the things, given that we're dealing with the binational issue in which there is a territory from the federal government that comes into play. That's in the vicinity of the boundary of the city of Calexico. With that said, I'm very happy to share that at the state and federal level, key permits have been secured that will enable us to begin the procurement of the construction and construction management of the project. Again, I would be remiss if I not highlight the role that Jose Luis Angel has played as my project manager and as the former executive officer for Region 7 at the state level, at the Regional Water Quality Control Board to make this happen. Without his services and his support, this would not have been possible. This is my final slide. This is the timeline that we're looking at. We've already gone through all the compliance components at this point through the city and the work that Michael Baker International did. We're pretty much looking at the summer being the time of year in which construction will begin. With that said, before I pass on the microphone to staff so we can go ahead and begin with a Q&A section, Jose Angel, if you can hear me, if you're here, I would just want to give you the opportunity to say a few words, please.
Well, thank you for all the accolades, but quite frankly, there were many people that paved the way for the accomplishments. First of all, thanks to the city for its leadership, for biting the bullet. The support, as everyone mentioned, we have gotten particularly from Cali, PA, our project partners with the Department of Water Resources, the regulatory agencies, including the Regional Water Board, Fish and Wildlife, the Corps. I mean, it's been tremendous. Everyone came together. It's the kind of thing that sometimes doesn't work very well. But let me just point out a couple of very, very instrumental folks that I believe are listening. But even if they're not listening, I think they deserve the credit that has been mentioned today. One is Regional Water Board member, also Nancy Wright. Ms. Wright was the prior chair of the Regional Water Board. And she was the kind of a person and chair that basically put boots on the ground to get a firsthand look at the New River water quality problem, not just in Calexico, also in Mexicali. More importantly, from my perspective, she was an advocate at the state, federal level to bring attention to the problem and to secure resources to address the problem. She was also a partner sometimes in the trips to San Francisco, Sacramento for advocacy, but also to Mexicali, obviously. And by the way, this thing about the permits, you know, I have nothing but praise to our colleagues at Panorama Environmental, who are brilliant with strategies to secure their permit. But from my perspective, their dedication, their professionalism has been second to none. I can tell you that true credit goes to the agencies and the folks that I mentioned and previous people that paved the way for us. I'm honored that I was given the opportunity to participate in this project. But mi tocayo Luis Olmedo mentioned it, you know, it's very hard not to put your heart and effort when you look at the residents, and you have to look them in the eye, and you made a promise, and this is the day, and soon during the summer is when they cash, as Martin Luther King said, the promissory note that we told them we're going to get it done. Again, thanks for the opportunity, but many people have paved the way. The legislative efforts certainly, we can talk about plans and specifications, but without the resources from the legislature, from the governor's office, from the state, you know, we can keep talking about a dream. So thanks again.
Thank you, Jose. Assemblyman Garcia, would you please like to introduce some of the dignitaries that we have from our neighboring country to the South Mexico with us today?
Thank you, Miguel. And Jose Angel, without a doubt, thank you. I recall, you know, 2009, 2010, sitting at the airport in Calexico with Miguel, Luis, and others, developing this plan, thanks to then Assembly Member Victor Manuel Perez. And I'll tell you, having the right leadership matters, and having people communicate and coordinate and transition in and transition out matter, so that we can keep this work going. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his name, and then he'd probably pull my ear when he sees me if I didn't. So kudos to the Assembly member who's now our county supervisor and who has his roots that go back to Calexico as well. I have, I think, the opportunity to just introduce a couple folks that are with us from Baja California and state government, and allow them to say a few words, you know, take a minute of our time, because I think it'd be important for them, as they've heard what we're doing, just to share with us, you know, how important this is, as well as the work ahead that requires binational cooperation, at least with the state. If we can't get it with the feds of the United States, but at least with the state, that we're able to move forward with a common agenda to improve the New River and the public health and quality of life issues that impact the people of Mexicali as they do Calexico, who we all say are one and the same. I'm going to ask first, in protocol order, the Assembly member, the state legislator who represents the Baja California area, and that the majority of the New River falls in her district, and that's Diputada Dailín Garcia. Bienvenida, y por favor tome el momento para introducirse y dar unas breves palabras.
Claro, muchas gracias. Gracias por la invitación y gracias por la presentación. Y bueno, nada más quiero comentar que en la legislatura del Congreso del Estado de Baja California hemos estado muy pendientes de todo este trabajo que han estado haciendo, de estos esfuerzos de tantos años y que hoy se están pues ya transparentando, ¿no? Y viendo en una realidad. Y pues bueno, hemos aprobado en el Congreso del Estado por unanimidad. Es decir, todos los diputados y las diputadas aprobaron y estuvieron de acuerdo en realizar un exhorto al gobierno del estado y también a la federación para trabajar en este tema por parte del lado mexicano. Entonces, pues bueno, evidentemente haremos lo conducente. Son trabajos que pues no van a ser de la noche a la mañana. El hecho de contar con el recurso necesario para también sanear la parte del Río Nuevo y pues la contaminación de las aguas por el lado mexicano, ¿no? Pero pues bueno, vamos avanzando bastante y bueno, tengan la certeza de que el Congreso del Estado está haciendo también lo propio y también le está dando la seriedad a toda esta problemática de contaminación al medio ambiente, al agua y pues bueno, al aire que también respiramos. Así que un abrazo para todos y nos vemos muy pronto. Aquí estamos pendientes.
Gracias, diputada Dailín García. Le damos la palabra a Francisco Alberto Bernal Rodríguez, que es el secretario del Medio Ambiente para el Estado de Baja California. Bienvenido, secretario.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos. Desafortunadamente traigo un problema ahí con mi cámara y me congeló mi imagen, pero no sé si se alcanza a ver por lo menos ahí mi imagen. Antes que nada, pues quiero agradecer la invitación que se le hizo a la gobernadora del estado, la maestra Marina del Pilar Ávila Olmeda, a participar en esta reunión. Me pidió que la representara y les expresara que de una y otras formas el gobierno del estado está participando en la solución de la problemática del Río Nuevo. Hemos trabajado, y lo comento desde hace muchos años, en resolver esta problemática como mexicalense, como vecino del río. Prácticamente nuestras oficinas están en el lado mexicano, en la zona del Río Nuevo, y sabemos y reconocemos todo lo que representa cuando un cuerpo de agua está contaminado. Hemos trabajado con muchos de ustedes y hemos iniciado muchas pláticas ahora desde esta representación que tenemos en el gobierno del estado como secretario del agua, y nos complace mucho ver que los resultados que se están teniendo en el lado americano pues ya están teniendo esos frutos. Me tocó conocer este proyecto desde hace algunos años con José Ángel, con las personas de la ciudad de Caléxico. Tenemos un grupo de trabajo binacional del Río Nuevo que de alguna forma conecta a las dos comunidades de México y Estados Unidos, que lo coordina de alguna forma la SILA con la participación de la Comisión Estatal de Servicios Públicos de Mexicali, con la CONAGUA, con autoridades del estado. Y yo creo que se han hecho esfuerzos en ambos lados en la búsqueda de mejorar siempre la calidad del agua del Río Nuevo. Desafortunadamente, pues tenemos muchos problemas. Tenemos un sistema sanitario muy enorme en Mexicali con problemas serios que estamos tratando de resolver. Pero sí les comento que existe toda la voluntad de nuestro gobierno de continuar participando, de trabajar con ustedes en lo que respecta a la solución de la problemática del lado mexicano, y que este proyecto de la vecina ciudad de Caléxico pues traiga de alguna forma mejoras a los residentes de esa zona. Muchas felicidades, y estaremos pendientes a continuar en los siguientes pasos de este proyecto y tratar de avanzar a nuestro lado para empatar de alguna forma las actividades y resolver la problemática en ambos lados de la frontera. Buenas tardes a todos.
Muchas gracias, secretario. Ahora le damos la palabra a Gustavo de la Fuente, que tiene un título sobre temas fronterizos, proyectos especiales, se enfoca en el desarrollo económico, y obviamente el tema también cae bajo esa dirección. Le damos la palabra.
Muchas gracias, asambleísta, y sobre todo muy agradecido por esta invitación. Creo que es muy importante en mi rol como director de proyectos internacionales de lo que es una agencia del gobierno de Baja California en California que se llama ProBaja, de pues llevar de la mano los proyectos, y sobre todo yo creo que el aspecto fundamental de todo esto, y lo que estaba diciendo el secretario Bernal, es la corresponsabilidad, ¿no? Yo creo que aquí es responsabilidad de un lado y también del otro lado. Es un tema federal, sí, y yo creo que hay que hablar también con las autoridades federales mexicanas para empezar a resolver mucho de esto. Yo sé que también un poco, como decía la diputada García, el tema de los recursos es muy importante, tanto federales como incluso del Banco de América del Norte, el BANDAN. Entonces, todo esto, pues yo creo que hay que conjuntar esfuerzos, hay que seguir de la mano trabajando, porque es una problemática que tenemos de los dos lados de la frontera. Hay que atacar en sus orígenes el problema. Y yo creo que eso es también parte del cometido que tiene el estado de Baja California. Y pues yo nuevamente agradezco, sobre todo, les puedo decir, este gran logro que tienen de estar ya a punto de empezar a construir, de implementar el proyecto como tal. Y agradezco la pasión que tienen todos ustedes. La verdad, sí, llega muy profundo, ¿no? Lo que están diciendo, y sé que lo que están diciendo están muy convencidos de lo que está pasando. Además, han vivido esta problemática muchos de los que estamos aquí durante ya mucho tiempo. Entonces ya es hora de actuar, y me da gusto que ya esté empezando este proceso en Caléxico. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Gustavo. Gracias, secretario. Y gracias, diputada, por acompañarnos esta noche, por darnos un poquito de sus pensamientos y proyecciones sobre lo que puede ocurrir trabajando juntos, colaboración. Vamos a darle para atrás la palabra a Miguel, quien nos va a llevar a la sección en donde empiezan a entrar preguntas para poder responderle a la comunidad. Miguel.
Thank you very much, Assembly Member. We will now proceed through the three sites that are projecting tonight's meeting in person for in-person attendees. We will begin here with Calexico. So for site one, which is Calexico, Gabby, are there any questions from the public?
Manuel Vizcarra, and he has a question. ¿Tienen algún acuerdo binacional con México, es decir, con la ciudad de Mexicali, porque el origen de la contaminación se origina en el Valle de Mexicali y la ciudad? That is his question.
Yes. Thank you for the question. So basically, we have a panel of experts here that can take on each of the questions that are going to be coming our way. I'll just start with mentioning that I think like our Mexican dignitaries that recently spoke acknowledge that the source of the contamination is in Mexicali. There is also an investment that's been made to improve the water collection system and the water quality systems in Mexicali. Jose Angel, would you want to briefly touch on that, given that the question that was posed pertains to the source of the water coming into Calexico?
Sure. There are binational agreements. They're called treaty minutes to the 1944 Colorado River water allocation to Mexico. The agreements specify water quality that discharge that the water that comes across the border needs to meet. Unfortunately, for the reasons outlined tonight, those agreements have not been complied in spite of some of the investments on both sides of the border. So there are agreements from the federal level to the federal level. There have been also agreements of cooperation at the state to state level. And there have been also partnerships as sister cities from Calexico and Mexicali. Where the rubber meets the road, however, is obviously the agreements that the U.S. and Mexican sections of the International Boundary and Water Commission are leads for. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much, Jose. Seeing no other questions from Calexico, are there any questions from El Centro, specifically the Board of Supervisors meeting chambers? Is there anything from El Centro?
There are no questions from this site.
Thank you very much. From the city of Brawley, over there at Comité Cívico, are there any questions?
No questions from the English site.
Thank you very much. We do have some questions that have come in through the chat box in Zoom. So with that said, I will begin to read those. First question, what can we expect to see next for the New River Improvement Project, and how can we keep up with the status of the project? I can take a stab. Assembly member, if you wish to compliment, or anybody else, please feel free to do so. At this point right now, as we discussed tonight, what we're looking at as it pertains to the $28 million investment on the three infrastructure components that we've discussed that are going to get built in Calexico, we're looking at a summer date where we're going to be hosting a groundbreaking ceremony. Once the date is finalized, which we expect to be very soon, we will be putting out a notice to the community so everybody can be aware. We're going to be using different media outlets to share this piece of information, which is a humongous milestone for all of us and for the community. So that will come. In addition to that, the community can also expect future community forums in which we're also going to be sharing updates as to how the construction in Calexico is going. But let's not forget, the New River Improvement Strategic Plan rightfully covers Mexicali and everything in between to the Salton Sea. There are multiple projects that will also get off the ground once we begin to construct the Calexico projects. So community forums will continue to be the way we inform the community. Assemblyman, is there anything you wish to add?
Thank you, Miguel. Well, I'm going to call the community to action again. And in 2020, the community and many of those who are here did an amazing job in getting behind what was an $18 million request from the general fund. And as Undersecretary said earlier, it was during COVID. It was during some uncertain times financially for the state. But the community got behind an $18 million request for a general fund allocation. And we were collectively successful, bringing us to the $28 million that is being invested in the project that you just described, Mr. Figueroa. Last year, we were able to secure $20 million. And that work was done a little more kind of silently, but with the support of Secretary Blumenfield, his team, and members of the legislature, recognizing that there is additional work to be done as it relates to water quality and potential infrastructure that needs to be built, both for the Tijuana River, in that effort with our friends and supporters at Cali, PA. And I got to just say, the folks at Cali, PA have been amazing. They have done everything they possibly can to make sure that our community, Calexico and Imperial County, get this resource to be able to address this longstanding public health issue that has affected a lot of people over decades. Well, this year, I'm asking the community to get in line and advocate once again for $100 million to establish with Assembly Bill 2248, the Border Rivers Water Quality Fund, something that will institutionalize the work that Cali, PA has done over the course of the last few years. And by making an effort to get $100 million, we have additional resources to make the necessary improvements for what I call phase two. Phase two could look like a lot of different things depending on what's happening on the Mexican side of the border and the problem. But phase two could look like designing the treatment plant, building amenities around phase one, which we have plans and a request for an additional $10 million to build a green belt, a park in the area that this first phase of the project is taking place, something that could be functional, utilized by the residents of Calexico, and really transform the history and the memories of something that's been there for decades that hasn't been a pleasant thing to look at, smell, and certainly that has caused a lot of public health issues for a lot of people for many, many years. And so I'm asking, and we will have these conversations, that the community join us again in this call to action to be able to pass this legislation, secure the $100 million, and that additional $10 million for the Greenbelt project that would go in very good complement to this first phase of the project. So that's just an overview of what's to come and the role that the community and all of our other stakeholders and leaders could potentially play.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Second question that we received, will there be a green park portion of the New River Improvement Project? Assemblymember Garcia right now just referenced actually the Parkway project. That was not talked about tonight, but I'm very happy to share that as part of the bill that has been referenced multiple times tonight, Assembly Bill 1079, matching funds were secured to implement not only the preliminary engineering studies, but the preliminary planning for a parkway here in Calexico that will complement the 3 infrastructure projects that we've been talking about. I'm very happy to share that the city of Calexico has procured the construction and the administration management of such project. As such, we have actually began with the construction of the pedestrian paths that are part of Phase 1B. Phase 1B is one of 3 phases for the Parkway project. Phase 1B is already covered through the $4 million that have been received that allowed us to entitle the project for construction and now begin its first phase. In order for us to complete this Parkway project, which is going to be right in the vicinity of where the 3 elements are going to be, and it's in the map that I showed previously in my presentation, we need additional resources. And those resources are the ones that Assemblyman Garcia just mentioned. We are looking to have a state-of-the-art park running with tertiary treated water from our wastewater treatment plant behind the 400 homes that I referenced and that you may recall in my presentation. So with that said, yes, there's a component. Yes, this component was part of the strategic plan that was adopted by the state. So it's actually being implemented as such, and it will complement the efforts you heard tonight. With that said, we're moving on to the next question. We thank Assemblymember Garcia for his success in securing state funding for the New River. Can he please share an update on his current legislative efforts? Assemblyman, do you wish to just add to what you just shared with us?
I'll just be brief. Assembly Bill 2248 asks to establish and institutionalize the work that's being done on the New River. And we are including our friends and colleagues from San Diego to help with the efforts that need to also take place with the Tijuana River. That is complemented or piggybacked with a $100 million request for that fund to ensure that there are additional resources for additional projects and efforts that need to take place. But I will say this, someone asked earlier, why do I keep bringing up the federal government from the United States? This is a binational issue. This is a federal government jurisdictional issue, and we need them to step up. I'm hoping that we have folks listening in today from the federal government, representatives from the offices of representatives, future representatives, that they're listening, that we need them to step up. The federal government has the ability to help address this issue, and we need action from them.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Next question, can we hear more about binational engagement taking place regarding the New River? I really want to highlight the input and the feedback that we received from the state of Baja representatives, both from the legislature and from the state government. They touched on key points pertaining to what they're doing on their end to make sure that we not only keep but grow the binational efforts that we have going on environmental justice, both in Baja and in the Imperial County, and also with the implementation of infrastructure projects on both sides. On that note, Supervisor Escobar, is there anything you wish to add as it pertains to binational engagement?
Well, the important thing is open lines of communication. If we're not communicating on a consistent basis, we're losing a significant avenue of support, because as Assemblymember Garcia mentioned already twice, this is a binational issue. This is a federal issue. As he mentioned, the federal government needs to step up to the plate. The same goes not necessarily for the municipality of Mexicali or the state government of Mexicali, of Baja California, but obviously of the federal level legislators and representatives in Mexico, in the capital. And again, it's the same issue. It's a binational issue. It's a federal issue. And I would welcome the remarks that Eduardo Garcia made for our federal representatives in DC to occur with our municipal officials in Mexicali and our state officials for the state of Baja California to urge federal support for this issue to be able to get the necessary funding for what needs to be done.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. There is a question that already was answered by Assemblyman Garcia, but I'm going to read it. So Assemblymember, if you wish to expand on it a tad more, the question is, why did New River not get any money from the feds, but Tijuana River got 300 million?
That's an excellent question. And thank you to whoever asked it. $300 million actually was set aside through the new US-Mexico-Canada agreement. There were two basic or major changes in the NAFTA agreement that had to do with environmental issues as well as labor issues. $300 million were put forward for the purpose of addressing environmental issues on the border. The California representation, all the way from our US senators to our congressional representatives under the Trump administration, made a determination to set forward that money to addressing the Tijuana River problems. Now, I don't know what formula, equation, nexus was determined to decide that all of it should go there and none of it over here, but the leadership made that decision and went in that direction. At the end of the day, that was challenging for us, given the level of progress that we've made on the New River and not being able to see a single dollar make its way to Imperial County and the Mexicali region. We know that the $300 million isn't enough to address the problem in Tijuana, where they need over $650 million to address their water treatment facility issues. And so they're looking for more. I'm hopeful that future dollars from the federal government will be designated as those $300 million were to begin planning what could potentially be a very similar approach that they've taken in Tijuana with the International Water Boundary Commission and begin assuming some role and responsibility in Imperial County over this binational issue. You know, the great thing about Governor Newsom, Secretary Jared Blumenfeld, his team, and our locals working in collaboration with our office is that California has set aside whose jurisdiction it is. And we've said, you know what, we want to take care of this problem as best as we can in collaboration with our partner South. But that's how that was decided on. $300 million went that way. We recently had a hearing in Sacramento and that was presented to us and discussed. And, you know, one of the things that I've determined is that instead of us competing with our friends in San Diego over whether it be $20 million in last year's budget or any additional federal government money that shall come this way for these purposes, you know, I decided that we team up with our San Diego elected representatives at the state level. They've got a handful of assembly members, a handful of senators. And that's why I've approached this idea of $100 million that could go to be used both for the Tijuana River and the New River in hopes that they will reciprocate that same collegiality, that same courtesy in understanding that these two issues are one, that are very similar to each other, but that we have to be equitable when it comes to the resources that come our way and ultimately advance the projects like the New River and move into the next phase and get the federal government to assume some responsibilities over this binational issue. I hope that answers the question. Thank you for the person who asked it. And like I said, I hope you know, our friends at the federal government are listening and taking this in a much constructive way in which we are presenting it.
Thank you for that, Assembly Member. I do want to inform everybody that we have more questions that have come in. We're going to get to each one of them. The next question, I'll call upon Mr. Luis Olmedo, if he can help us with a response. The question, Luis, is as follows. What is the best way for community to help assist and advance these efforts?
Well, it's, I think there are several ways to respond to this. The community and the conditions of our community is that this still remains to be a disadvantage, hard to reach population. The socioeconomics of the valley make it really hard for the community to participate. And when we address issues around health, they call it social determinants of health, transportation, economic access to the resources to participate. I mean, today, I wish we'd have several thousand people in this day of celebration. But the reality is people sometimes holding 2-3 different jobs. So technology is another issue and barrier that exists. So how do we address this? Well, I think that's a responsibility of all of us. All of us who either have a responsibility through government and nonprofits, community leaders. I think that we continue to pull together and be able to create more on-ramps to be able to get the community to participate by having information that is easily be translatable. Sometimes they call it in lay language. Sometimes they call it in plain language. It is important to also, in this project, for example, to be able to bring and embrace the culture of our community, the diversity of the culture of the community. I've most recently, constantly been saying that, when a community doesn't feel like it's theirs, because, it's like when we go to our home, we have our pictures, we have our decorations, we have everything that makes it feel like our home. And the reality of it, the Imperial Valley doesn't feel like their home to a lot of people. So it is very important that in these projects, we embrace the diversity of cultures in our Imperial Valley, making sure that through this project, we bring arts and culture and things that make people feel like it's theirs. When we empower and put the community in positions of power, what does that mean? We need to put the community and make sure that they have a voice and they have a role, not just in meetings like today, but there are advisories at the city. There are advisories at the county. There's certainly different spaces that we can bring the community into the state and be able to help provide the economic means to participate, right? There's the community outreach workers, promotoras, a lot of times. We need to be able to give them the means to be able to reach to the hard to reach population. So again, I want to thank the media because they play an important role in communicating to the community and again, the diverse audiences that they communicate to. That would be some of the ways that I would respond. Comité Cívico is here, but there are many organizations throughout the entire community that are there to help bring the community to the table. I would say that, just again, like today, I would have hoped that thousands of people would have been here. But the reality is that there are many barriers that exist. We are also transitioning out of COVID, right? Slowly, hopefully, cross our fingers, right? That we don't go back, right? To closing our government, closing our community and so on. But, people are starting to, get back to, in-person meetings, and to try to find the comfort and so on to get involved in these kinds of cases. But I mean, the sad reality is that, this is, today is, as we celebrate this triumphant moment that we're so close to breaking ground, we need to find other ways. And doing meetings in the evenings is great, but we also need to be able to bring sort of an equity into this. And, that might mean that we need to invest more. One of the things that we do, for example, in our meetings, is try to, bring at least snacks, food, create the conditions of language acts, a lot of things that we've done today, right? But sometimes that's still not enough. We need to do more. So thank you for asking that question. And I hope I was able to just give you a whole spread of challenges that we face here in our community. But
Thank you very much, Luis, for that. Next question is coming from Luis Lopez. Well, I am grateful that a trash screen will be installed. How can we ensure that industry in Mexico will stop polluting the river? At the end of the day, everyone's goal will be to one day not need a trash screen. I'm not sure if we have some of our partners, Gustavo de la Fuente, Francisco, Bernal, Madam Assemblywoman Diputada Dailin Garcia. If you guys would want to just chime in out of respect, given that this pertains to pollution coming from Mexico.
Sí, buenas tardes de nuevo. Sí, yo creo que eso es algo que estamos haciendo desde hace mucho tiempo, tratando de evitar todos estos aspectos de contaminación. Estamos trabajando en varios frentes. Uno de los principales problemas que tenemos es el financiero. Ya se mencionó hace un rato sobre la falta de recursos que se tienen en esta parte del Estado. Sin embargo, también comentábamos el tema de este comité binacional que existe y que es un comité que de alguna forma ha promovido incluso inversiones. El plan integral de saneamiento del Río Nuevo que derivó en la planta de Arenitas como una medida para evitar la contaminación en el Río Nuevo y que ahora ya llegó a su capacidad máxima y requiere de una segunda etapa. Es una de las metas en las que estamos trabajando como gobierno del Estado, conjuntamente incluso con la Federación, para lograr esos recursos, el NASBank, los fondos BIF que la EPA proporciona para la frontera. Y es una combinación de esfuerzos. Seguiremos empujando esto y al final del día también estamos trabajando en la parte mexicana para sanear, en el caso de Mexicali, las lagunas, en el caso de instalar incluso una trampa para retener basura y sólidos en el Río Nuevo, en la parte mexicana. Y bueno, yo creo que son esfuerzos que tenemos que valorar conjuntamente y continuar, en primer lugar, cerrando los proyectos y buscando las fuentes financieras para llevarlos a cabo. Pero estamos de alguna forma muy enfocados en eso, de alguna forma con la participación de los tres niveles del gobierno federal, estatal y municipal, incluso con organizaciones no gubernamentales, y me da mucho gusto que la diputada nos haya dado esos comentarios de lo que están haciendo en el Congreso para empujar los esfuerzos desde la perspectiva del Estado. Eso sería mi comentario hasta este momento. No sé si Gustavo o la diputada Eileen quieren hacer algún comentario adicional.
Muchas gracias, señor Bernal. Moving on with our questions, Maria Lopez asks, with this new movement of the New River, will there be a chance for Calexico to expand on that side of town? The answer is yes. Given the projects that we shared with you today, given the construction also of the Parkway project, we're looking for the west side of Calexico to be connected to the development that's coming to the west side through the Parkway project. We have 3 bridges that are gonna go over the New River, in which we're gonna have pedestrian paths and bike paths in which individuals will be able to come in. Aside from that, I do wanna share that as a result of everything that this group that we have before us here has been doing to secure not only the resources, but carry out the implementation of these projects, Calexico has seen a greater interest in the business development of the West Side. We have investors coming in, acquiring property, given that they now have certainty that something is getting done. We are already seeing the benefits of all this work that we've shared with you today. Next question. Some of these, IID Director, JB Hamby, who's with us today, has a question. What can Imperial Valley public agencies and public agencies do to support and ensure the passage of Assemblyman Garcia's New River Bill, AB 2248? Assemblyman, would you want to just respond to Mr. Hamby's questions as to what we can do here at the local level?
Very quickly, we'd love to get the local agencies, nonprofits, community support through a letter writing campaign to the subcommittees that will be dealing with the funding aspect, and to the chair of the legislative committees who will be seeing this proposal. This bill moved out of a committee this past week with bipartisan support, and with a tremendous amount of accolades from the chairman in terms of the work that we're doing. We're working very closely with the Cali PA team to make sure that we're following the right line of thinking, and not trying to duplicate the work that they're already doing, not trying to, as they say, reinvent the wheel, but certainly fall in line with the mechanisms that are in place to facilitate these dollars and the implementation of these programs. But the funding aspect will require a loud voice from Imperial County, participating in subcommittee budget hearings all the way through the final days of a budget getting signed. We've got attention on the issue, and we're now needing the grassroots support from our community.
Just to briefly add on Eduardo, Assemblymember Garcia's comments, it's important that the 7 cities get involved. Imperial County will obviously be working on a letter of support in the coming weeks. I know Rebecca Terrazas Baxter is on this call, and we'll be working and bring something to our county dais. And obviously, I would look for your support, Director Hamby, in getting the IND involved as well. They are a very powerful unit in Sacramento, and obviously we need your support as well. I would also look forward to Mr. Olmedo and Comité Cívico El Valle supporting the cause as well from an SJ-EJ perspective. Again, working together is probably the best way for us to get the most out of this push that Assemblymember Garcia is doing. Thank you.
We have a question from the Brawley site. The question reads, once the project is completed, where will additional water sampling take place? Just in Calexico or additional cities along the New River? I know we have with us here Chair Powell. We also have Executive Officer Rasmussen. Basically, the water sampling that's already mandated won't change. Mr. Rasmussen, would you care if you can just expand a little more?
Briefly, yeah, there is existing water sampling at various points. The water is sampled right near the border, and then it is sampled where the wastewater treatment plants discharge into the river. There's sampling that is conducted at various locations. I'm not aware that the basic structure of the sampling will change. The point that near the border, it might be moved a little bit, but otherwise, I don't think the sampling structure is going to change.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Rasmussen. We have here a couple more questions that came in. Besides the current plan in motion, what measures can be taken on the Mexican side to decrease the pollution of the New River? Can the United States government intervene and hold the Mexican government accountable for the pollution and costs regarding the New River? I believe at different points through this forum, the question has been answered. There's been a substantial amount of information that has been shared by our Mexican counterparts as to what they are doing. Assemblyman Garcia, along with Mr. Angel, touched on the federal treaties that exist that need to be revisited so we can update language as it pertains to roles and responsibilities. Assemblyman, is there anything you wish to add to that question? No, we're good? Okay. We have another one here. Miguel, how does it feel that on your last night as city manager, that this would be your parting issue, something you've been working on for so many years? I didn't know that question was there, okay? It just came in, I'm just going through the list. No, well, it's great. It's great, it's fantastic. Been working with many of the people in this forum, the people that have presented today, almost nearing 2 decades. It's great, it's fantastic to see that things are moving. It's great to see, like Luis Olmedo mentioned, that we can look now at the community in the eye and say, look, all your efforts are now paying off. We're getting something done. the days where we had to go to the state capitol and knock on doors to see if we were going to get some type of attention are long past. The attention is here now, and we're getting things done as it can be attested. For me, it's always going to be a project that I'm going to carry on and participate in, regardless of where I'm at or who is my employer. So thank you for that. There is another question. Is there a bill, Assemblyman, I think this is a policy related question. Is there a bill in California that requires community to be at the forefront of decision making?
You know, all bills should have the community's interests at the forefront and have community people leading those efforts. Assembly Bill 617 that focuses on air quality initiatives puts front and center the people organizing around the issue of air quality and establishing community priorities, giving them to the air quality district of their respected areas, seeking out funding and beginning to implement those plans that the community puts forward. This implementation of this project was spearheaded by Assembly Bill 1071, Assemblymember Perez, and the community led the identification of certain types of projects to take place. Is there a bill that requires that everything that the state legislature does take the same process? No, I don't believe so. But is there a principle that we as elected leaders should follow and ask for some guidance for these types of efforts? Absolutely. And I think that's what we're seeing here today is a collective community voice setting forward some priorities, and now us be very close to implementing those priorities. Thank you for the question, and I hope it answered what was asked.
Thank you. One more. Congratulations on the major progress with this New River project. It can be expected to protect the health and safety of the people of Calexico, but it is just a bypass and does not significantly improve the quality of the water as it goes north through towns like Brawley, where I live, and to the Salton Sea. Is that the phase 2 Assemblyman Garcia just described? I'll take a stab at it and then feel free to chime in, Assembly member or anyone else. What we have before us here is a strategic plan that identifies improvement projects starting in Mexicali, going from Calexico, Sealy, Brawley, and the Salton Sea. Those are the 5 reaches that the plan makes up. Each reach has projects that have been identified that need to be implemented so we can fulfill the purpose of the plan, so we can see the ultimate benefit of improving water quality going into the Salton Sea. In addition to that, as it's rightfully mentioned in the question, the water quality component in this specifically is not addressed in the Calexico phase. One of the things that is being looked at right now, in which we're going to be working hand in hand with the County of Imperial, the Regional Water Quality Control Board, Region 7, is assessing the need of a water treatment facility. There are resources that are moving right now that will allow us to assess what is needed to treat the water. How? In the form of a facility that can actually improve water quality aside from all the other improvements that have been already identified in the plan. So we acknowledge that is something that is needed. I think when Assemblyman Garcia referred to phase 2, he, and I won't speak for him, but it entails something that we've said since day one. The problem doesn't stop by us constructing these projects in Calexico. This is only step 1. We need to continue to push, secure the resources to continue and implement all the projects north of Calexico. Assemblyman, do you want to add anything to that?
I do. One of our representatives from the water region, the Regional Water Board, talked about the secondary treatment that will be pumped back out, right? Which from this perspective, we're improving water quality that will be running through the existing river. Do we have additional work to do that is identified in the plan, the strategic plan? Without a doubt, when I talk about the next phase, it's definitely determining whether or not it is a treatment facility, or if those improvements are made at the source of the problem, it may not require a treatment facility to be built on this side of the California border. We've got some time to determine that, but nevertheless, I think it's important that we recognize that what we're doing is improving the public health circumstances of the people who live right behind the New River. We're creating a recreational space. And at the same time, as we direct water to get the secondary type treatment, we're improving quality of water flowing down to the Salton Sea. So I hope that kind of answers the question holistically. But definitely, as we go after that $100 million, that is to begin planning the next phase of this work. I'd like to just point to the questions that have come as it relates to what else can we do as a state of California to backfill what the government hasn't done. Continue to implement the strategic plan is certainly first and foremost, but also continue to strengthen our relationship with our friends on the other side of the border, to advocate with them, with the appropriate agencies at the federal government level in Mexico, to be able to try to solve the problem at its source. And so we definitely want to join that effort with them and support them.
Assembly member, at this time, we have gone through all the questions that came our way. We're at a point right now in our agenda in which we want to ask you to share with us some closing remarks, please.
Well, we've said a lot, and we've acknowledged that there's more work to be done in collaboration with our partners south of the border. We also have recognized that the state of California remains committed, and that we look towards the federal government and our representatives there to support these efforts and double down on the need to make greater investments. I want to thank everyone who participated today, whether as speakers, participants in the sites that were set up. Thank the City of Calexico, the County of Imperial, and Comité Cívico del Valle for opening up their doors to make this conversation more accessible. And I want to just special thank you to our friends and colleagues from Baja California for being here with us today. It was very special to be able to have you say a few words and let us know what you're working on. Miguel, thank you so much for your work on this. Luis, everyone else, and we want to thank Undersecretary as well as Secretary Trey Bloomfield and his entire team for putting this together. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice evening.